So the talk this afternoon is really about a theme of the weekend, which is a light theme, but it's still a theme. The theme is change, dance with it, and the unchanging, if you know it. And it needs us to be aware of the territory in which we understand these things, which is experience, inside experience. And the Dharma is very clear that we don't look for the unchanging, the beyond, the unlimited, somewhere else. And that our experience is limited, and if we want an unlimited, we need to go somewhere beyond experience. God, there, Mashiach, somewhere else, top of the mountain. There isn't really a separation between heaven and hell in the Dharma. It's all inside this moment of experience, the limited and the unlimited. And that's very special, I think, in the Buddha's teaching, and very interesting and very hopeful, because 99% of the human population consider experience problematic, and the only way to get a sense of the divine, the kadosh, is out of the body and out of experience, somewhere else, and it needs belief, prayer, worship, and hope, and need, and so on. And it's very, very deep. When the Buddha was training for years before he sat under the Bodhi tree, he was training for years with yoga, with teachers of yoga, of say the yoga tradition or the Vedanta tradition, who taught extreme asceticism, sagfanut. And in their yoga tradition, it's very strong that the body is limited and problematic. And the way to discover the unlimited, awakened, pure soul is by punishing the body, by starving it, by not allowing desire of the body, by basically cancelling the body, bitul, to try and cancel the body. And it's very much in, West Christianity has this as well. And so it's the Buddha said, yes, it's painful to be limited, but that doesn't mean we should construct gods called the unlimited in order to escape from the limited. Because we're still in the limited place, but developing great theories and ideas and gods to kind of rescue us. And they become our escape. So instead of that, the Buddha said, turn to the pain that you feel in the limited and look at it directly at eye level. And once you know the nature of the pain of ordinary life, you will not need to build God worlds to get out of this pain. You will be clear and familiar and a friend with the limited world. And through that, you will see the unlimited, the beyond, the changeless. Through the meeting with the change, with the limited, you will see the through the dukkha, you will see beyond dukkha. And don't escape from dukkha or pain called suffering, but it's really more like dissatisfaction. The dissatisfaction of being born, be there with it, see through it, and it will lead you to the freedom inside this moment, the limited. Because there can't be in the universe really a difference between limited and unlimited. It's just in the person. Wherein the life is limited, unlimited. It's in the person. We're talking about a human being who has that problem of feeling boxed in a box. So the Buddha said, look at dukkha directly. Don't try and escape and build heaven to run away from dukkha. And I think it's important to understand that dukkha, in this case, can get very, very subtle. So dukkha is obvious pain, disease, loss, we lose something or somebody precious to us. We lose our health, or we lose things. We have physical pain, emotional pain, social pain, loneliness. There's a dukkha of change, which is a bit more subtle. That's just the sense that we don't want things to be different. The self, here, this one, wants to know that tomorrow is going to be all right. That tomorrow will be the same as today. The self doesn't like change. We want to know what's going to happen. We want to say, oh yeah. I want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't like change. People don't like aging, they don't like shifting, they don't like things to be different. So there's a dukkha of change. And more subtle than that is the dukkha of experience itself, which you can call the dukkha of conditioning, the pain of conditioning, which is that we are influenced by conditions and our experience is limited by that. And that's a more subtle dukkha, dukkha of conditioning. Dukkha, or a pain of, well, we all expressed it here. We're all struggling with it here in the retreat, in a way. Why do I have to think these thoughts again and again? Like your question about music. It's great to listen to music, but not now, and not every 5 minutes, not all the time. I'm trying to sit watching my breath and I have to hear this rock band playing in my mind. We're not in control. Conditions. We're conditioned by our childhood. We're conditioned by everything that happens to us. We are built, we are shaped by life. Our thoughts are shaped by what's happened to us. Let's think of what happened in our childhood, how our childhood experiences shape us, and sometimes we bear the scars all our life. We are wounded by conditions and conditioning. So there's, and that's in experience. And then we meet it here, our experience that we feel we're in control, we're not free. We are being controlled by experience. And our main issue with experience is avidya. Avidya is sometimes translated as ignorance, but I think it's better in its direct translation, non-wisdom. Vidya is knowing, like yeda, it's the same word, and avidya is non-knowing, meaning non-wisdom. And non-wisdom makes us the dukkha from non-wisdom, from ignorance, it makes us believe our experience to be true. We believe what we think to be true. We give it weight. We fabricate ourselves and the world. We fabricate, we construct. Sankhara is construction. We construct ourselves on the world and we believe that that's the world and us. And this fabrication is going on all the time, very subtly, very strongly. For years and years and years we fabricate and we construct our world, our thoughts, our feelings, our reactions, our views, and that we believe they're true. And it's really, this belief is going very deep. It's not something I want to believe, but all the makot we had in our childhood, they're all there somehow, and we believe them. Inside, we don't always know how to find them, but we cannot believe them to be true. Otherwise, Freud would have no work. He'd be out of a job. We believe the stuff that's come into us all our life as being there, true, structure, made, built, and it produces daily pain, the dukkha of conditioning. And it goes all over. The whole of science is based on, for example, on a deep belief that the world is knowable, and all we need to do is work hard to know it. That's science. Who says the world is knowable? Who says that if I do more science I will know everything? It's a kind of ego of science. I know because I have a PhD in molecular biology. I spent years in laboratories doing science. And it's maze ego trip. I met some very, very big egos. We had Francis Crick, the guy who invented, who discovered DNA. And he used to come to our laboratory in London. And where is it? Schwitzer. So we end up with a kind of a position that the world is knowable, that the world is as it is, and what I have to do with it, because it's dukkha like that, the limited world is dukkha, the main thing I need to do in my life is cope. The main job for me in my life is cope, hitmodadut. That's what I do, that's what life is for. 90% of the people you ask, what are you doing with your life, what's driving your life? Hitmodadut. I need to get money, I need to family, I need to this, I need to that, that's what life is for, no? Is anything else? 90% will say that. And that's because of ignorance. It's basically because of the conditioned world limits us, and then we live inside that limited box and call it reality. So we need to get close to experience to discover both the limited and the unlimited. The place to see it is in intimacy with our direct experience itself, because there is no other place that we can really see the limited and the unlimited. And I really like this, maybe I said it before because I've been saying this in a number of the pubs and places I've been going around in the last while, but I really like that song by Pete Seeger, Turn, 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 that the Doors used it after that as a song. But it's a direct quote from Kohelet, and just now it was the time of reading Kohelet in Sukkot, and it's just a very nice way of Pete Seeger used it in a very nice way. So Kohelet is the time for this and a time for that, a time for peace, a time for war, a time for health, a time for disease, time to live, time to die, time to happy, time to unhappy, etc., which is the whole existence. But Pete Seeger added the word, which wasn't in Kohelet as far as I know. At least I couldn't find that message there. Turn, turn, turn to it all. Which I think is exactly the message. Turn, turn, turn to everything. That's what Pete Seeger put as the refrain in the song. And I really think that's what we have based in duality. Life is this and life is that. There is this, there is the wounds and there is the pleasure and there is the joy and there is the pain and there is this is life. And keep turn, turn, turn to everything. That's exactly what we're doing here. That's why we're here for this weekend. That's why we sit in the morning and meditate. There's no other reason to meditate, really. It's to turn, turn, turn to everything. It's exactly what the purpose of the practice is and what the Buddha said to us to do. To look directly in the face at our ignorance and our wisdom. So we do it by taking it to pieces, by zoom in, like I said earlier, by looking carefully at what's going on. We do it by, like I say, turning to a moment of anger, turning to a moment of disturbance, turning to our thoughts and seeing what they are, turning to our body and seeing what it's doing, turning to a touch of the hands, turning to the breath, turning to the air on the cheeks, turning to the noise from the neighbours, turning to the barking dog, turning to the wonderful lunch, and turning to the desire when the lunch isn't wonderful, turning to the whole lot. And the more we do it, the closer we get to understanding the world of the conditions and conditioning and the world of the unconditioned, which is not conditions and not conditioning. One of the kind of right on places that sort of almost one of the key Buddhist slogans is all compounded things are impermanent. Compounded murkav, is that right? Everything is made of other things and impermanent. There is nothing that is there in itself. Every single thing is made of other things and therefore is impermanent because everything is made of everything else. So that everything else is making everything else. Where there's nothing that's stuck, stopped, separate in a total box. And that's a really important understanding for us, because it means that the limited is not fixed and our ignorance is not fixed, and there isn't anything we need to believe in totally, because nothing is permanent, fixed, stuck in a box. Everything is coming and going. Everything has in it its own passing. Everything has in it its own birth and its own death. A thought, a feeling, a memory, all psychological issues that give us hell. If we look them straight in the eyes, turn, 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 they have a birth and they have a death. They're made of other things. If we look at a thought, if we really look at a thought, it's made of other things. It's made of messages we've got. It's made of voices that we heard, that come into the system from our parents or from the newspaper, I don't know. It's made of history. It's made of mind stuff. It's made of light. Thought is made of light. If you want to find a substance, because they're choma, that is a thought, it's actually just made of light. It's made of electricity in the brain. What's it made of? It's made of everything. So where does the thought stop, and where does the whole world is in there, in every thought. And a thought is a compounded thing, a body is a compounded thing, hands are compounded things, the air is compounded, everything is compounded and everything is passing. And so in a way, there's no need to believe in our fabrications, because they're all made of everything else. They don't stand on their own. They're all made of the world. They're all constructed from other things, and then going to pieces again and making other things. So everything that we feel is a construction, mivneh, banui, b'tochenu, it is made of things and it's going to other things. It is making other things. Nothing is stuck. So that really helps us to give up trying to fix ourselves, trying to cope with things, trying to improve things, trying to sort the world, trying to know it all. I don't mean we shouldn't do that. If we're sick, we go and get medicine. If we want to fix something, that's fine, we fix it. It doesn't mean to say we shouldn't act in the world, but we shouldn't follow that as being the purpose of our life. Dealing with the stuff. We need to see it as it really is. Turn, and see that it's made of compounded things, and therefore it has no substance, and therefore it's just passing through, and it is made from everything and will make everything. And that is dancing with change. And that's half of the talk. Dancing with change is dancing with the uncontrollable, because it's all compounded, all made of everything. There is nothing stuck, and there's nothing to do with it except dance. What to do with it except dance? I have actually a nice poem that was written by Anand Thupten, who's an American Tibetan practitioner, and it ends with this dance, words of dance. I like the poem, so I'm going to read it. Why am I here? This has been a gnawing question for a long time. Do not ask anyone to answer this. There are too many beliefs out there. Didn't we just kill the great mystery? Tonight, stay awake for a while. Wrap your body in a warm blanket. Gaze into the sky, the infinite cosmos. And the magic of existence will open your mind. Your heart will feel a sweet surrender. Aren't you everything? You are the celestial, the sky body with countless stars shining brilliantly. You are the beautiful flowers in this whole world. You are the majestic mountain. You are the gentle, spirited dolphins swimming ecstatically in the sea. You have never been born. You were here all along. You are here to see your own wonder. Now you can rest from searching for eternity somewhere else. Here is a koan just for you. Why am I here? Keep contemplating this forever, otherwise you will become finite, limited. Fear, ambition will steal your joy. A regret for not living fully will strike you at your deathbed. People have been chanting the most sacred word Om. Till now, few knew its meaning. If they really knew what it meant, they would dance without control. So now, recite Om, and remember it means I am everything, and let your body whirl like a child playing. Very nice poem. So this poem and the intimacy with changing nature of things, it actually invites us also to the big picture. Because if everything is compounded and everything is connected with everything and everything is changing everything else, then that's already the big picture. So something in the way we look, for example, at the small will always lead us to the big. We look at a thought, we realize it's come from there, and it's made of this, it's made of that, it's made of that, and it's making this, and it's making that, it's making that. Ugh. We're already in somewhere beyond. We're already in a flow. The other classic kind of Buddhist one-liner, if this arises, then that arises. If this stops or ceases, then that stops. Very mysterious. We don't quite know how to handle that, but it tells us the same thing. That there isn't anything standing on its own. When this, then this. When that, then that. When this, then that. When this, then that. Where nothing is stopped. It's all because of this, then that. It points us to interconnection. And we can experience this in moments of meditation quite easily. In the Satipatthana Sutta, every time sati is mentioned, mindfulness, it goes with the word sampajana. And sampajana is the sense that if we are mindful of something, we will also know that it's coming from somewhere and it's going to somewhere. So we're mindful of a word that's coming from this mouth here, but the only way we can hear this word is because there was silence before. Otherwise we wouldn't hear anything. Because there is non-word, then there is word. And then there is word leading to non-word. Because there is white, there is black. It's just like Kohelet. Because there is happiness, there is sadness. Because there is death, there is life. Because there isn't anything standing on its own. Everything, because of this, then that. If this, then that. So it's that's sampajana. That's something that we can easily see. The moment of a thought leads to the ending of a thought, and the ending of a thought is another space. It's context, it's background, it's cause and effect, it's change, everything happens because something before allows it to happen. And therefore it happens. And we can experience this quite easily. And I think this, for many of us, is the first real understanding of the changeless. Many of us in the Buddhist world, this for us is the doorway which opens to the unlimited. Because if we see that something is created by other things and going to other things, because of this then that, then the understanding inside us, which is not philosophical, which is experiential, is that everything is interconnected. Interbeing. Thich Nhat Hanh developed a nice word, interbeing. And I think it's a good word. There isn't anything separate from anything. Everything is creating everything else. And that moves us to stillness, to quiet. Because there is nowhere that we can say, stop. This is it. This is a construction. I have to believe it. it doesn't mean that we have to fight the constructions in our consciousness. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't accept and look at and know structure, sankharas. Because our face is a structure. They'll talk about DNA is a structure. DNA happens. Our face happens. We have a shape. This hand is not another person's hand. Mind you, I remember when I was at school, age of, I don't know what, 8 years old, one day we had a party for the end of the year, and we asked all the teachers, there were like 30 teachers, to roll up their trousers. This was a boys' school, so there were only guys, and have a curtain going down to the legs. So we saw 30 knees, birkayim, okay, 30 of them in a row. And not one person could say whose knee belongs to which teacher. If we put all the hands here in this room on a line, nobody's going to know whose hand it belongs to who. And you wouldn't even know your own hand probably after looking at it for a while. you know. Nothing wrong with structure. What's wrong is the belief in it. What's wrong is the belief that it's real. What's wrong is the belief that it's existing separate from everything else. There's nothing wrong with the face of Stephen or Had. It's just the face. It's the way it's shaped. There's a nice Theravada story that you may know about two Theravada monks sitting in the forest, and all of a sudden a beautiful girl comes running by, and they look at her, and she passes by, and then a guy comes who's chasing the girl, and he asked the monks, "Do you see a beautiful girl running past?" And one monk said no. So he ran on, the guy. The other monk turned to the first monk and said, "How can you lie? You're lying. This is one of the basic ethical laws you broke." And the first monk said, "No, I didn't see a woman, a beautiful girl pass by. I just saw teeth passing by." Teeth. So there's nothing wrong with structure, but we don't need, we can see a thought as a thought, but the wisdom is seeing the way it's made of everything else and it dissolves into everything else. That we don't need to take it out of reality and put it up there on the bama and say it's real and I have to struggle with it. If it's a psychological issue like guilt or blame or shame or anger or whatever, with a lot of emotion in it, it seems like it's really, really solid. But their wisdom will always break up things into their parts and see that it's conditioned and it's made by other things and it's going to other things and it's not a thing that we have to carry all our life. If we look at it carefully, turn, we see that it's made of everything else. And it's passing and it's dissolving. So we can go further into this sense of the limitless from the place of the limitlessness because of the interbeing, which is a way we can understand that there is the universe, not just its pieces, because it's all creating and flowing and influencing everything. Contingency. I know someone in Jerusalem that wrote a book called Contingency. Contingentio. I don't know if you know the word. It's a word meaning everything is contingent. And it's really in this field because the book that she wrote she's called Yemima Ben Menachem, and it's on quantum physics, saying the same thing, that everything is based on everything else. You cannot separate and pull out of reality any one thing and say it exists on its own. It doesn't. Quantum physics is saying that basically, about the basic laws of physics. But we can go further, and we can be interested in awareness itself as something that is not an object, is not an observer, is not a thing, but allowing us to actually directly see the limitless. And that needs us to be interested in awareness itself, observation, knowing, the knowing itself, rather than the objects of knowing, the objects that we see. What is the big mind? What is the big awareness? What is the seeing or the knowing that allows us to know all of this? What is the knowing that it gives us a hint of the limitless, of something unchanging? What kind of knowing is that? What is it in the human being that can get a sense of that? And that's a question that's important. What is the Om that she, in the poem, what is the Om? How do we can know such a thing? Om, which is a Teda Universali, a universal vibration, if you like, and that she says, dance, dance with it. So I think we need to be really interested in that as a way of directly experiencing the limitless. And I mentioned it yesterday. It's about seeing the space in the room, not just the objects in the room. So it's about seeing light rather than the objects that are lit up. It's about when you look at something, understanding what it is between you and the thing. Not just the thing, and not just you, but what is happening between you and the thing. It's exploring awareness. And it leads us to an understanding of, I think, or understanding is not an easy word, some sense of oneness. In the Tibetan tradition, they talk a lot about one taste. That never mind what you look at, there is one taste. And it's a sense of oneness. I like the in Shema Yisrael, which is sort of the mantra of Jewish life. It mentions one at the end, oneness. But what's the key word there is Shema. I think much more important than one. That if you listen, wake up, listen deeply, then you will know oneness. It needs us to listen, to be in awareness, and things begin to have the one taste. That everything will see not objects by themselves, but something holding all the objects, something in all the objects, something together with all the objects. The objects are not instead of, the objects are not on their own. They are settled into. And it's not easier to describe. I don't really have words for this. And it's often described in a very paradoxical way when Ajahn Chah, his quite famous words to Ajahn Sumedho, when Ajahn Sumedho left the monastery and went off to start the monastery Amaravati in England, So Ajahn Chah said to him, there's no going forward, there's no going back, and there's no standing still. What am I going to do with that? The world of paradox, the world of koans, the world of puzzle, that question, the hanachot that we have. The world is full of paradox. We're in paradox when we try and understand what is not objects and things. And we're all the time in this in our practice. If we look a little bit, the questions we have now in the group just now, if we look a little bit, very quickly we come to a place of paradox, uncertainty. Am I in charge of this experience? Is it me making this experience? Or is life making it? Or who is controlling what? Is life controlling me, or am I controlling life? Or it's already paradox. Am I practicing? Well, am I? I mean, I'm doing something here, sitting here. But is it really practice? Is there something to practice? Or is just life happening and I'm observing something? That means no practice? Or is there somebody practicing, but there isn't? Is there a body? Is there a person? Is there a subject, an ani, that is in charge of practice? Or is something happening to me? Or, is there a path? Or is it pathless? Is there a path? I don't know, really. I was thinking the other day, I was catching a train to Tel Aviv, which I do quite a lot. If I really, really acted on the sense that there is no real train, it's a construction I call a convenient construction called a train that I need to catch. The whole thing is a kind of a construction on the limitless. There really isn't ultimately a thing called a train. But if I really, really had to go all the way with that, I would sit on the platform, and this thing would come and go and come and go and come and go, and I would never get on it. Because how can I get on a train that doesn't really exist? But I get on the train. Ke'ilu. So the whole world is in a way ke'ilu. And the limitless and the limited are in a relationship ke'ilu. Of ke'ilu. I like the words of Ajahn Amaro. He said it's a convenient fiction. It's a fiction because the world is limitless, everything makes everything else. But we need to catch a train. So let's still think of it as a fiction of fixed things, separate things. Catch the train, but knowing it's a fiction. This paradox is all the way through. I love the paradox of Chang Tzu about words. And it's all through the Diamond Sutta, by the way. The suttas are packed with paradoxes. There's no words. Words don't mean the thing. So we have language. The Chang Tzu paradox was similar about words. He says, words don't mean anything. They don't ultimately mean anything. They don't do the job. Show me the man that's given up words. I want to have a word with him. We're living in a world of paradox. where the unlimited and the limited are meeting each other, and our life we have to live it. But as long as we don't, and going back to the more Buddhist teaching of the Paticca as long as we don't believe in the ultimate truth of sankharas, of constructions, we're all right. We do need to say, there's a train because I have to catch it. Ki'ilu, there's a train. But if we look more carefully, we do not see a train. We look more carefully at a person. We do not see a person, we might see teeth. If we look more carefully at a thought, we don't need to see a thought. We can see a million voices there that we love to see and to hear passing through us. So, sorry to end with kind of the paradox, but I think it's all right to end on the kind of the flavor of everything is ki'ilu, as if, and it's okay to live like that. It may be feel a bit uncomfortable to us, but it's actually dancing. It's actually dancing with change and resting in the changeless. And then when we get up in the morning, yes, there is a world, but we still are resting in the changeless when we get up in the morning and we have to catch a train. We are still in the changeless. There is still the infinite, the limitless is there. There isn't, we can't, it is us, it is, we're made of it. There isn't any other place except it. The illusion of separation of objects, just peeling off that illusion, and the sense of knowing that we have is the way that we can rest in that place. Just rest in the knowing of right here, limitless, right here. It's not. It's in everything. It is everything. Okay, thank you. So let's take a couple of minutes of quiet.